Hi, my name is Suzanne. I'm an Australian. I've been tufting for 2 weeks, and here are a few of the things that I had questions about before I started. I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible. So types of yarn, I use acrylic and or wool. I usually go for just something cheap. This is 12 ply. This is 8 ply. Let's see if we can see a difference. Thicker, thinner. For the 12 ply, so let's start again. For tufting, you want 2 strands while you tuft your lines in the back. So I use 2 strands for 12 ply, 3 strands for 8 ply. I have only used acrylic or wool. I'm eager to try some of the new ones. I wanted to do a quick show of something as well. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it. This is my 12 ply yarn, and there's 2 strands here. You can see these, and I'll go around and it's nice and thick. Whereas over here we have the 3 8 ply, and you can see there's 3 strands. So that's something that you might find interesting as well. I'll just pause this and I'll show you the front. This is the front at its current spot. There has been a little bit of carving and cutting. I'm quite proud of the back. I'm going to have to do quite a bit of detail to the front. One thing I'm not sure if you're going to be able to pick up on this is that always check the color of your yarns. I had 2 different brands of white. One is much more yellow than this, and that makes me sad because the yellower white that I have was the 8 ply, and then the white, sparkling white, is the 12 ply. Something you can see here, oh, you can't really see it. Okay, so in this section here, I have actually had 1 strand of 12 ply and 2 strands of the 8 ply. You can actually see how it has started to thread. It's just unfortunate I can't get that on video. One of the other things that I had burning questions about was can you do 2 different colors at the same time? Yes, you can. Here is a video of some of my earlier pieces, my first pieces, so last week's pieces, that I had done with 2 colors. So here you go. What does it look like when you use 2 different colors of yarn at the same time? Here is an example. I personally haven't seen anyone do this, so I was desperate to give it a go. This piece here was a commission piece. I decided to put a lighter brown and a darker brown together because I thought it would give that sunflower that nice sort of speckled insert, and this was one of my first pieces. This was a freehand piece, just desperate to see what black and white would look together, and as you can see, it's a nice salt and pepper sort of design. So that's what 2 different colors threaded at the same time looks like. Suspension. So my yarn setup, you can see in the background, sorry, I'm mirrored at the moment, is a little bit frustrating for me. Here is another video that I took on my phone for what my yarn pile looks like. So as a suggestion, what I would do is I would suggest you get cone-shaped interiors and a yarn winder. I have a yarn winder. This is a really horrible wool because I've been playing around with it, but what I have found is when I get to the bottom section, and I usually put the yarn on these posts here, I have found that it's still getting caught, and any sort of tension with my gun, and my gun I haven't played with, well, I haven't changed, so it's on the lowest setting for speed, and it's on the same tension that it did when it's arrived. If you have any tips for changing that, please let me know, because I don't want to mess around with it too much because I'm so fresh at it. So when it comes like this, I spend more time detangling it. I have found that the yarn winder is still, I would prefer to wind my yarn, but at the moment I'm just using bundles. And here's the video to show you what that looks like. Start again. So you can see it gets hooked. It starts over here. So these are the bundles that I have 3. These are 8-ply. So I have found sticking them on here, like a lot of people's, they just tend to stick too much for me. I think it's probably how sticky this is and it gets tangled. So I've just opted to use this method for now because my yarn making the balls, they're just catching too much. So I've got 3 coming up to here, looped, and I've put a hook there. I just find it keeps everything out of the way, and then I thread it into my gun. So what I unfortunately have to do, and I'm going to have to pause while I do this because I need both hands, is I do just pulling it from here. It's too tight for my gun. It is not enough tension for it to stay in the gun. So if I just left it threading from here, I'd have to rethread it every time. So I'm just going to pause it and show you what it looks like on the floor. So this is what the floor pile of yarn usually looks like. And before I do, I sort of give it a tug there, because even this can sometimes be too much tension. Now, if you have any tips for making the gun's tension better in regards to just having the yarn bundles like that, please leave a comment. As I said, I haven't changed anything on the gun, and if it helps, it helps. And I've, as I said, been doing it for 2 weeks. Would love some information. So that goes up to here, down to here, and down here. Now this is just $2 a bundle yarn. It's nothing fancy crazy. Material, so I'm using Hessian. I get it from Bunnings. You can also get it from Lincraft. Lincraft is like $16 a meter, and I'm sure it's quite good quality. I do have some, but it doesn't fit my frame. My frame is quite big. I get mine from Bunnings. It's about $9 a meter, and it's 1.8 meters wide. So one thing I have noticed a lot of people posting about is holes. I've only had 1 hole, and that was on my commission piece for my sunflower, and I watched a YouTube video about tufting a different area in the same color, cutting it out and sticking it in, and that worked great for me. Due to that, because I wasn't paying enough attention, I am more cautious with watching my material while I am tufting. With Hessian, as you can see, it's woven, and as you can see with this, I can move those bits apart and create a hole. This can happen while you are tufting. It could be the quality, it could be how you're holding your gun, could be a lot of different things. So with Hessian, you do want to be checking that you are re-stretching and stretching your piece as nicely as possible, even during the tufting process, because it can warp. The Sasuke I have in the background does have a few bits where it has warped a little bit, but nothing that you're going to really be able to notice when it's done. So one of the ways that I have been dealing with holes with the Hessian, and I have another video on my phone, is moving these threads back into an area that is a little bit, again, of a tighter weave. It's not perfect, and I know I have to be safe and cautious while going over this space, but it has worked for me greatly, especially on the Sasuke piece. See the compact area? This is all quite compacted. This isn't, but that's okay, but this area is quite compact, like sort of compact. So as you can see here, there's started, it's not a hole, but it is wider than everything else. So what I would do is I would take my burlap and I would start to see how I could make that move. So that's how I've sort of gone about. I'm trying to see if I've got any holes. Here's a nice little example. So I would feel like if I tried to tuft this area, I'm going to just cause too much damage and friction to it. As you can see, there's quite a large hole between here, but as you can see in here, Hessian is quite compact on either of these sides. So what I've been doing is getting my nail or something like that and see how I've just positioned that So what that does is it just gives a little bit of a tighter weave again, and that's much better. You probably can't tell a big difference, but it does look much better. So that's something I've been using to try and prevent holes that are preventable.
Threading issues. So if your yarn is constantly being tugged out of your gun every time you finish a line, it would be the tension amount. And in the video I showed you earlier about how I pile my yarn, I have found that doing it this way has stopped that issue of it being pulled out of my gun constantly. Still happens, but it's not constant. One thing I have also figured out is, especially on the Sasuke piece, when I started on one of the outer sides, for some reason it was jumping and skipping and sort of creating that hole I showed you with the Hessian. Now this was because I wasn't letting the gun do its work freely. I was guiding it, but I realized I was pushing it up as well. When I stopped and let the gun move at its own pace but still guided it with my other hand, I stopped having that issue. So that's something, if you are finding that your gun is skipping, it could be you are pushing too hard up. You do want to apply that pressure into the material, but you don't want to be dragging it up. So that's something that I thought I might mention as well. So if I have any other videos, I will post it here. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Enjoy your tufting. Bye bye.